This is Rakuro, a high school student with a passion, no, an obsession, for garbage tier games. The kind that most would delete in frustration, he masters with a grin. Inside his dimly lit room, together with his VR goggles, he conquered yet another garbage game. In his room, there is a whole collection of all the garbage games that he has conquered. Rakuro is not a popular kid at school, but he doesn't care about any of that at all. But this girl named Rei, however, is very interested in him, and she might have a crush on him. But this absolute idiot doesn't seem to notice her after she attempts to talk to him, leaving her sad and disappointed. After school, he goes to the usual store where he buys his garbage games. He has become a regular at this store. He tells the store owner how much fun he had defeating the last garbage game he played. The store owner tells him about this new game called Shangri-La Frontier. Rakuro, who normally isn't interested in popular games, still decides to try it out. He's drinking some soda on his bed, while reading about Shangri-La Frontier lore, and of course on how he can abuse bugs and garbage game mechanics to use for his advantage to become a top-tier player. With his usual confidence, he picks a username, Sunrako. He smirks as he examines his own avatar, a sleek yet simple design with no beginner gear. Just the way he likes it. But before he can admire the scenery, a notification pops up. Would you like to skip the tutorial? Sunraka doesn't hesitate. Who needs a tutorial? So just like that, this dumbass skipped the tutorial and didn't spawn at the usual beginner's location. He then decides to climb up this tree to look at the beautiful scenery Shangri-La Frontier has to offer. He normally doesn't get to see beautiful views like this because he only plays literal dog shit games. He spots a bridge and decides to take a look. For the first time in his life, he was able to see what a good in-game map looks like, and sees that the bridge leads to a city he wants to go to. While on his way, he looks at his horrible level 1 stats until suddenly, a goblin attacks him from behind. Because of his assassin-like build, he quickly manages to dash away. He's excited. His first opponent in a good game. What is it like? He thinks to himself. But he has no time to think. The goblin runs to attack him. Now determined to beat his first opponent, he dodges the first attack and quickly manages to eliminate the goblin. He levels up and takes some of the goblin's loot. But he senses something. We then see deadly red eyes coming from inside the bushes. A quick surprise attack from a bunny. He manages to dodge the attack. The bunny's attack seems very strong and will likely eliminate him with one strike. The bunny has a red name tag, together with a very sharp dagger. It looks insanely strong and unbeatable for a mere level 2. With his fast reflexes, he manages to block an attack. The bunny is quite unlucky because he is up against a nerd. He manages to land a critical hit. The bunny gets right back up for another attack. He tries to block it, but this absolute nerd actually managed to cut him with the other dagger he had. He instantly levels up to level 4, meaning it was a strong opponent. He looks for the bunny's loot, but finds nothing. Instead, he gets an attack called Flash Counter. He thinks about all the ways he can abuse this attack with his knowledge. He is excited, a game with actual good mechanics and a lot of players. There are a lot of monsters in this forest. He is able to defeat them easily. He levels up all the way to level 12. He was able to get his hands on the knives the bunny with red eyes had. He also learned a lot of new valuable skills. He takes a look at the map. He is pretty close by a city. He is at the bridge he looked at earlier, but there seems to be a formidable opponent guarding the bridge. He gets excited like usual. He wants to fight it. We then shift to the first city of the game. All the players are amazed. A top-tier player is suddenly at the first city. What is he doing there? It is quickly revealed that this top-tier player is actually Rei. Yes, the girl who has a crush on Rakuro. Back at the bridge, Rakuro gets ready to fight what seems to be a boss. He is excited and immediately runs in to attack the lizard boss. He decides to jump over it. He activates a skill which let him dodge more easily. He tries to figure out his attack pattern so he can counter the snake. It's a fierce battle. He takes the attack head-on while blocking with his knives, but he quickly dashes away. He goes in for the attack from behind. He dodges and tries to cut the snake from the side. But to his surprise, his own knife breaks because the snake's scales are way too hard to cut. The snake, now almost taunting Rakuro to attack. He pulls out his good knives and takes a fighting stance. The snake attacks, but Rakuro quickly jumps away. He then tries to cut the snake from above, but to his surprise, the lizard shoots poison at him. Rakuro is surprised that this boss is actually strong and finds ways to counter despite his weird playstyle. But Rakuro is now poisoned, and this fight now also becomes a fight against time. This nerd actually gets excited, fighting a strong boss for once. It has truly become a fight against time, but Rakuro is only able to block and dodge the snake's attacks. He thinks back about the fight with the bunny. He was able to hit a critical hit. He thinks if he is able to land a critical hit on the snake, he might be able to defeat it. He tries to get close to the snake and find its weak spots. He is still poisoned, so he tries to do this quickly. He dodges and is able to cut through one of his scales. He lands multiple critical hits on the snake, doing pretty good damage. The snake falls down and Rakuro continues his fury of attacks. The snake gets mad and launches Rakuro in the air with his tail. The snake is also able to heal himself. He is surprised, but he didn't expect less from a strong boss. He blocks an attack mid-air. He jumps up and attacks the snake from above, hitting him hard. He then grabs the snake by its hair and is able to hit a strong attack right into the snake's eyes, defeating the first boss. He levels up all the way to level 14 and then celebrates his victory. This goofball is pretty proud of himself. The snake drops some good loot that he picks up, but at that moment, this idiot remembers that he is still poisoned. He runs as if a girl texted him, "I'm home alone, trying to get to the first city so he can heal." At the entrance of the first city, we see a cute couple flirting with each other. But that moment is quickly ruined by this goofball, wearing a bird mask, screaming his lungs out. The girl tries to shoot him because she thinks he is a monster, but the boy tells him it's a player. And it's explained that if you kill a player, other players can see that and your name becomes red. He then tells him that there is an inn where he can sleep to set his respawn point in the city. Rakuro is determined to make it there and thanks the boy for letting him know as he runs by. Inside the inn, he gets greeted by a lady, but he is stressed out and quickly tries to get a room so he can set his respawn point. The lady gives him the room number and he quickly dashes into his room. And he manages to safely set his respawn point, but he still dies and decides to play again tomorrow. He is still full of adrenaline and was happy that the boy told him how to set his respawn point. He can't wait to play Shangri-La Frontier again tomorrow. The next day arrived and Rakuro walks through the city called Secondia. It appears that he had skipped the first town because he is an idiot and skipped the tutorial. But he is too excited to look at his new abilities and celebrates loudly. Everyone is creeped out by this weirdo wearing a bird mask. Talk about looking suspicious. He decides to buy some gear to not look like an actual weirdo. He tries to sell his items, but the owner refuses because his weapons are garbage. The blacksmith tells him if he mines some stones nearby, he can make some good weapons for him, even better than the red knives. He goes to the mining spot. It is pretty dirty with mud all over the floor. Rakuro gets upset because he only gets low-level stones. While mining, he sees a weird-looking frog. It is not very dangerous, but the frog annoys Rakuro by jumping and getting mud all over him. He gets annoyed and eliminates the innocent frog. Good job, you loser. He continues mining some stones for the weapon he wants. Back at the blacksmith, he shows all of his mined stones. The blacksmith is pretty surprised with the rare stones and is able to make him a pretty strong weapon. Rakuro is pretty excited to test these new knives out. And as usual, this goofball celebrates loudly, and everyone is looking at him again. We then see the lizard at the bridge again, but this time, he gets beaten in one strike from one of the top-tier players. But we know that this player is actually Rei, who somehow has a crush on Rakuro. But back to Rakuro, who is currently fighting a strong goblin and testing out his new knives. But this goblin seems to be stronger than he had thought and struggles. But after a pretty fierce battle, the goblin shouts and gets all his friends to help him out. He seems to be in big trouble, but he loves the thrill of an exciting fight. The goblins are attacking him all at once, but he manages to dodge them all. He tries to attack, but suddenly a weird force interrupts the fight. This weird force eliminates all of the goblins. After all the smoke clears, his eyes widen. In front of him there is a giant wolf, who seems to be radiating a lot of aura. And Rakuro knows that he is in big trouble, now really. This matchup looks unfair. You would almost feel bad for this idiot. But back at town, the top-tier player has arrived and he asks the boy who helped Rakuro if he has seen someone with the username Sunraku, which is Rakuro's username. The boy tells him where he went and the top-tier player gives them a little gift while he continues his search. He activates a skill which can launch him into a direction and it leaves a smoke screen behind. The boy wonders why someone from such a top-tier guild would ever be here and looking for him. Back to Rakuro, who is still admiring his strong opponent. The wolf jumped towards him trying to attack. He blocked the attack and quickly tries to attack the wolf. However, he is unable to deal any damage. But he doesn't give up. After all, the fight had only just begun. Even though he is pretty scared and can't see a way of him actually winning, he blocks another attack. He keeps dodging the wolf's attacks, looking for an opening. He finds one, but yet again he deals absolutely no damage. The fight keeps going on like this for a while, until the wolf suddenly turns invisible. Rakuro stays sharp, trying to sense him, not letting his guard down. The wolf attacks behind him, but he is able to dodge it. He is able to land a few hits again, but to no one's surprise he deals no damage. The wolf then disappears again. It's an attack from the side now. He keeps dodging, but the wolf is absolutely overpowering Rakuro. The fight is long and fierce, until his legs were suddenly cut off. Rakuro, now almost defeated on the ground with 1 HP. He tells him, "Next time I will defeat you." Rakuro, for the first time, got defeated, but he wakes up with a weird mark on his chest. The wolf apparently gives him a lot of debuffs and can't even equip armor. He gets mad. He now has to walk around bare naked all the time. Everyone will think he's a weirdo, which he is. He is mad at the game. He screams out of frustration. What a pitiful loser. In an alley, he looks over his stats. He sees that he can upgrade some stats again, but this dumbass forgets to put any points in his health, making him a literal trash can, who will be defeated in 1 hit. While he's crying over his own stupid life decisions, a bunny lands on his head. He thinks the bunny looks similar to one of his first fights. The bunny looks cute, so he decides to follow it. The little bunny seems to be pretty athletic and jumps around obstacles. Rakuro tries to keep up with it. He is amazed with how quick this bunny is. It is a dead end, but the bunny taps his feet on the wall and a magical door appears. The door seems to be leading to some weird bunny world. The door says that this is a unique event. He read about it online. A unique event is something for only one player, and other players can't interact with it, only the one who has been chosen. He opens the door and looks around. He is happy that he has been given this unique event. He wonders what kind of treasures he can get. But after he walks in, the door shows that the recommended level is actually level 80. If you want to know how this ends, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll keep you updated in a new video.